actually chant the Hare Krishna mantra with full realization, you see Krishna directly, because Krishna and Krishna's name are the same. Similarly, Bhagavatam, it's just a big description of Krishna in all his different aspects. It's like a big name of Krishna. The same is there. It's just Krishna and Krishna's name is the same. So Bhagavatam is the same. And then he goes on to say that you have to learn Bhagavatam from the right person. And he talks about the professional reciters of Bhagavatam. I've heard them do this. They're very good. They're like actors. They can, cry real tears on cue. But they're just actors. They're just good at it. And Prabhupada said, he calls them bogus hired reciters. In other words, you have to pay them to hear Bhagavatam. They're earning money. There's admission fee. Bogus hired reciter whose aim of life is to earn some money out of such recitation and employ the earnings in sex indulgence. These are not people who are following the regulative principles. No one can learn Srimad Bhagavatam who is associated with persons engaged in sex life. That is the secret of learning Bhagavatam. Now notice he uses this word secret. It keeps appearing in this purport. The secret. There's a secret. Nor can one learn Bhagavatam from one who interprets the text by his mundane scholarship. Now there's a lot of that around. There are scholars of Hinduism. They know Sanskrit better than we do. Most of them. They've studied all different texts. They've got degrees from universities. And they study Bhagavatam. And they can appreciate his poetry. But when they stand in front of a class of students and they say Bhagavatam to them, nothing happens. It's not there. So these kind of two people, the kind of people who do it like the Bhagavat Saptaha, or the scholars at the universities, he says, one has to learn Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadeva Goswami and no one else. Disciplic succession. If one wants it all to see Lord Krishna in the pages, second mention of seeing Krishna directly. That is the process and there is no alternative. Sutta Goswami is a bona fide representative of Shukadeva Goswami because he wanted to present the message which he received from the great learned Brahmana. Shukadeva Goswami presented Bhagavatam as he had heard it from his great father, Vyas. So also Sutta Goswami is presenting Bhagavatam as he'd heard it from Shukadeva. So here Prabhupada is talking about this chain of bona fide hearers and speakers. Then he says, simple hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. Now, realized is the English word that Prabhupada uses to talk about, to translate the Sanskrit word vijnana. Jnana vijnanam astikyam. This is experience knowledge. Vijnana. Realized knowledge means you have direct experience. The word science also is vijnana in the sense that you have some experience. And this is, or jnana, Prabhupada, sometimes jnana is book knowledge, and then vijnana is experience knowledge. You may read the book, but then you have to see it for yourself. Jnana, vijnana. These two are there. So here he's using this term, realized. One must realize the text. And then he says, with proper attention. So the idea is that one really has to pay attention. Here he says the word nivishta in the text. He drank it down like a thirsty person. Means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person. So now he says the two things. They have to have the real person, and we have to hear with great attention. And then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. Third time he's mentioned this, see Krishna directly, huh? The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. Again, he uses the word secret. And then he says, no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. So now he's going to, how do you get this kind of focused attention? The mind has to be pure. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. In other words, even the most basic biological activities of life, they have to be done in a pure way. But somehow or other, if one hears with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam. Now this is first canto, third chapter. This means Prabhupada wrote this in India before he came to the West, with these books, looking for an audience. So why did he form ISKCON? To create the hearers. He's got Bhagavatam here narrated for people, but now how are they going to hear it? Now they have to be trained to be pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Otherwise there was no audience. It wouldn't happen. See, it's potent. You have to have a qualified speaker and qualified hearers. Say, sometimes we have language like that. There is, let's say there's a judge in a courtroom. And before the judge is a person. And that person has been found guilty of a crime by due process of law. A jury or whatever the system is. But by due process of law, this person is found guilty of a crime. And the other person who's talking to him, this is the authorized judge. Duly appointed or elected, however you do it, this is the judge. The judge says to the person in front of him, I sentence you to 10 years in jail. That's potent. He just says that, and that's where he goes, 10 years in jail. If I walk to somebody in the street and say, I sentence you to 10 years in jail, what happens? No potency, right? So there's sometimes the words are used that way, where the potency is there. You know, a couple comes before a certain person who's authorized by the state, and he says, now you're married, you're man and wife, whatever, you know, you're married. When those words are spoken, you're qualified, you've got the marriage license, you go in front of the priest or whatever, you know, it's done. So similarly, Bhagavatam has to be, you know, the right speaker and the right hearer. Then people will begin to understand. then we can understand. See, how you understand Bhagavatam, you're not going to understand it by any method, according to the directions. Prabhupada said, remember, you have to take the medicine by the directions on the bottle. These are the directions on the bottle. How to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other people, oh yeah, we got to look at all the Puranic literature and try to understand ancient cosmology according to what the Babylonians said and what the, you know, whatever. They have different ways of looking at it. These are the directions on the bottle of Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada, for Prabhupada, it is so important that he takes for us what's maybe the most difficult part of the Bhagavatam, the cosmology, the planetarium. This is but that's a form of Krishna. This is all the universal form of the Lord. And in the second and third canto, there are 5 descriptions of the universal form. 5 of them. All from a different angle of it. 5 descriptions. One of them is cosmic embryology, because the universal form is born comes to birth like a child in a womb. And then the 5th canto, most of the 5th canto is also about the universal form, because it says in the beginning and at the end, this is the description of the universal form of the Lord. And it's not the universe that we see, most of us. Right? And people are trying, what are we going to do about this, you know? Is it mythology? Or, you know, we now know better? Well, how to see it? Here's the Bhagavatam. This is how you understand the Bhagavatam. So, here, I'm going to read to you a text from Bhagavatam 4:29-69. Sadvaika nishte manasi bhagavat parshva vartuni tamas chandramasi vedam uparajya vapasate amavasate. Prabhupada says, translation, Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. So the Bhagavatam is telling us this is the way it looks from Krishna's point of view. And if we are sattva eka nishta, fixed in pure sattva, with the mind, manasi, and parshvavartani, bhagavat parshvavartani, with standing close by the side of Krishna, then you can see it, this idam, this cosmic manifestation, in the way that Krishna does. And the example is given, which we don't, which just as Rahu occasionally approaches the moon. Rahu is not always visible, but when it comes close to the moon, the Rahu becomes visible. So, what is Rahu, you know? Is there an invisible planet, Rahu? We don't see that. So, a very literal translation of this verse would be to one with a mind singly fixed in sattva, abiding in close proximity to the Lord. This cosmos becomes revealed just as the invisible Rahu becomes visible when it aligns with the full moon. So that's a kind of one way avoid a literal translation. So I was happy to find that verse. Actually, Sahotra Maharaj had noticed this earlier, but nobody picked up on it. But this is the. But on a bigger scale, Prabhupada says things like, well, he here in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 7.2, Prabhupada quotes this verse from the Mundaka Upanishad, Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Vidam Vijnatam Bhavati. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. In other words, our process should be go to Krishna, understand Krishna, and that will include understanding everything else. Modern science, leave Krishna out, go straight to it. Right? You know, what you see, may be good for certain things, but for understanding what's really there, you don't know anything. This is the Upanishad. This is, you know, if you follow the Vedas, you should believe this. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. So Prabhupada, talking about this, Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Idam Vijnatam Bhavati, he says, if you know Krishna, you know everything. You know science. You know mathematics. You know philosophy. You know geography. You know everything. Everything. There is no dearth of knowledge. No lack of knowledge. Don't think that a Krishna conscious person, actually he can be a foolish man. No. That is given guarantee in the Bhagavad Gita. Then he quotes, Tesham evanukam partha maham agyana jam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavosto jnanadipena bhasvataha. To those who are constantly devoted and who worship me with love, I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. Situated in their hearts, I destroy the knowledge to show them special mercy, evanukam partam. I enlighten them with knowledge from within. Jnanadipena, like a shining lamp of knowledge. That's what he says. Here Prabhupada again says, this is in a lecture in 68, a devotee who is always in Krishna consciousness, for him there is nothing unknown. He knows everything. Just like we can give information of the whole creation. Not only of this material world, of the spiritual world. Clear conception. Where is where, what is what. Everything. That is Krishna consciousness. The more you make progress, then you fully, become conversant with all departments of knowledge. Everything is completed.
Which verse is that?
This was a lecture given in Los Angeles, December 16th, 1968. Yeah, it's out of the database. Here's another lecture. This is Bombay, April 13th, 1974. He says, so those who are actually advanced in Krishna consciousness, they can understand that everything is Krishna. Everything, that is really Brahman realization. And again, Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Idam Vijnatam Bhavati. That being, Brahman is defined, that one thing being known, everything else becomes known. This is the Upanishad. If you simply understand Krishna, then you understand what is Paramatma, what is Brahman, what is material cosmic manifestation. Everything you understand. And when you understand Krishna properly, then you see that everything is Krishna, because everything is Krishna's energy. Here's another lecture. I mean, Prabhupada said this many times. This one's given in London, August 4th, 1971. And again, he quotes the same passage from the Upanishads. Every one of us is acquiring knowledge, he says. That is called experience, one after another. So Krishna says that if you understand this science, savigyana, that's in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a lecture on Bhagavad Gita 7, 1 through 3. Take it from there. If you understand this science, savigyana, then your knowledge will be complete. You'll have nothing to hanker after any full knowledge. Knowledge is complete. That is also Vedic conjunction. Yasmin vijnate sarvam vidam vijnatam bhavati. If you can understand the supreme knowledge, the supreme, then sarvam vidam vijnatam bhavati. Everything becomes known to you. Just like in arithmetic. If you simply learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you learn all the arithmetical processes. Then once you learn the first 10 digits, you can understand, you can go all the way. It's a simple thing. You learn. Because in the arithmetic, there's nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all. Whatever you see, big calculation, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is all. Similarly, if you simply understand Krishna, then you'll see the whole arithmetic, whole world, whole universe is full of Krishna consciousness. That's all. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see that Bahunam Janmanam Mante Gyanavam Mam Prapadyate, when one is actually becomes wise, full of wisdom. Why? How? After many births of speculation and calculation, when he actually becomes wise, then like the expert mathematician who knows all of mathematics, so actually when one is in knowledge, then he can see Krishna everywhere. Those who are in the lowest stage, they think that Krishna is here in the temple, not anywhere else. That is the lowest stage of understanding Krishna. But the highest stage of understanding Krishna, the Krishna conscious person sees everywhere Krishna, even within the atom. So there are many places. I've got a whole collection where Prabhupada says this again and again and again. If you understand scientifically what is God, then you understand everything. Because God is everything. God is the central point of everything. These are the Vedic versions. Anyway, there's many places Prabhupada repeats this. If you look up this Yasmin Vishnate Savanam Vishnatam Bhavati, you'll see this. So I'm accepting. This is our process to understand everything. That we understand a different kind of science. Now, Prabhupada says one has to be pure to see Krishna like this, and eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So, but what this means is our regulative principles, which most of us may think of as moral principles, are actually principles of knowledge. For this kind of knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, like, knowledge depends upon sattva. If one is at least in sattva guna, then there's an ability to see things properly to some degree. But Prabhupada remarks in Bhagavad Gita that today in modern civilization, our standard of advancement is Rajaguna. Our standard of advancement. What's the world about? Economic development. What's science about? Economic development. If somebody can't make money from something, it's usually not funded. It's all about economic development. If somebody doesn't have any reason to use it for power and sense gratification, who's interested? Prabhupada says, formerly the standard of advancement was the standard of the mode of goodness. But now it's the mode of passion. That's our standard of advancement. That's how we measure it. Do you remember what the result of the mode of passion is according to Bhagavad Gita?
Suffering.
Suffering, yeah. So what does that mean? What's the future? It will result in suffering. That's what will happen. Usually when the mode of passion produces suffering, what do people do to treat their misery? They go to the mode of ignorance, intoxication, oblivion, suicide, whatever. You know, that's their remedy. So we're bringing another standard in for people. The standard of advancement is mode of goodness. Who teaches that anymore? I mean, it used to be in European civilization, if you look at almost all the universities, everybody who was a university student was a monk. And therefore supposed to be following at least some regular principles. Even they didn't even eat meat in those days, because that was for very rich people. They were mostly vegetarian. Maybe they ate birds and fish, but you know, those who really ate beef, you know, were only very rich people. So, you know, people were pure. And that was the standard of advancement for our universities. Not anymore. So Prabhupada said, you know, he wanted, Bhagavatam is designed to create a revolution in a misdirected world civilization. This is in the beginning of the first canto, his introduction or preface, whatever it was. That's what it's for. It's a cultural presentation to change the world civilization. And it is, people won't appreciate it. But I have, anyway, this is what Prabhupada is saying. And I also firmly believe Krishna is there in the heart to give us guidance and direction. And as we begin to become pure, our knowledge will develop. We will receive more and more guidance from Krishna. And we'll be able to guide the rest of the world. Prabhupada, you know, I was there standing next to him in an airport in New York when the reporter said to Prabhupada, "Why have you come to the West?" And he said, "I've come to give you a brain."